Welcome back to another video here on Upside Down Movie Reviews. This is the first video since January, and I have no excuses for it being so, but I saw the halfway point of the year as a good opportunity for me to start up again with reviewing movies from the second half of the year of 2019 and onward. As of now, I'm going to be doing the channel by myself, but in the future, I hope to have people, including Michael, on every chance I can, reviewing movies with me. I just like to have multiple perspectives instead of just hearing from one person. Anyway, I've still been keeping up with seeing most of the movies that have come out this year, and this is going to be my best and favorite movies from January to June. There's been a lot of crap, but there's been a lot of good. There's been a lot of disappointments. There's also been a lot of surprises so far this year. The cool thing about film is that all film is subjective, so some of the movies I liked you could have not, and vice versa. But this is my list, and if you disagree, then that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. My list today is going to be starting with my 5 honorable mentions of the year so far, and then my personal top 5 of the year so far. The 5 honorable mentions are in no particular order, but the top 5 is the best I could ordered. These aren't reviews for the movies. I will just say something quick about each. If you want to know my grades for any of the movies, just ask in the comments if you want more detail on exactly how I felt about specific movies, even ones that aren't on the list today, because I've seen almost every movie out this year. So ask in the comments. So kicking it off, we're going to be jumping into my honorable mentions, and like I said before, these are in no particular order. These are just the 5 movies that are right outside my top 5 of the movies of the year so far. Kicking it off with the first one we're going to be talking about is going to be John Wick 3. It was another solid chapter of the franchise. Keanu Reeves continues to show off his action skills, and the team choreographing all of the stunts and the writers for coming up with new ways to kill people is crazy. I know that sounds pretty bad, new ways to kill people, but if you see the movie, you're gonna see things and be like, wow, I didn't know that was actually like, how do people think of that? Going on from John Wick 3, my next honorable mention we'll be talking about is Long Shot. It was a fun rom-com starring Charlize Theron and Seth Rogen. They actually had a really natural chemistry on screen that I liked watching. The next honorable mention we'll be getting into is Stan and Ollie. It's a beautiful true story on friendship. If you guys haven't seen John C. Riley outside of his comedy stuff, you should definitely check him out. He's a really talented actor. Moving on from Stan and Ollie, you'll be jumping over to Late Night. It's a movie I just saw last week. It was one of those movies that made me like appreciate film. Not that it was a masterpiece or anything like that, but more of like I saw it and like it's not really talked about, so I'm thinking this is a movie I want to talk about and share my opinion. And that's how I've had a few movies like that this year, and that movie is kind of what kickstarted me getting back on the YouTube grind right now. Emma Thompson was great in the movie. Moving on from that is going to be my final honorable mention of the 5, and it's going to be Avengers Endgame. Um, Overall, the movie was a disappointment to me, and that's not saying much because it was still a great movie, or it was still a really good movie, but it just didn't live up to the expectations of hype that I personally set out for it. But those are going to be my 5 honorable mentions of the year so far. They're still all really good movies. I loved watching them all, but they just weren't, they're just right outside my top 5, my personal top 5 of the year so far. So jumping into my personal top 5, I ordered these the best I could. You can interchange a few of them, 3 through 5, but my 1 and 2 are pretty much solidified as my top 2 movies of the year so far. Starting with number 5, it's going to be the movie Yesterday. It's a movie I saw last week, and the trailers kind of made it seem like it's all about the music of the Beatles and like the kind of stealing of the music, but it's really not. At heart, in the movie, you see it as you watch it. It's actually a love story. It's a romance between the two leads, and I loved every second of it watching it on screen. I'm just a sucker for romance movies, so um, not much more to it there. Moving on from Yesterday, my number 4 movie of the year is going to be Toy Story 4. It's really emotional for me seeing these movies. I've been a fan of the franchise since I was in diapers, watching the first movie over and over and over again when I didn't even understand what I was seeing, probably. But this movie really made my heart happy and sad at the same time. I think anyone who would go out and check it out would enjoy it. Going on from number 4 to my number 3 spot of the year so far is going to be Rocket Man. It was more of a musical than a biopic to me. I don't even like to call it a biopic really because Elton John and the director of the movie both don't consider it a biopic. They said it's a real life fantasy, and that's really what it is. It's a musical, and it doesn't really feel like a biopic, but it's still for a biopic. If you're gonna consider that. It was still really good. Taron Egerton had a masterful performance as Elton John, and he's probably gonna get some Oscar buzz towards the end of the year. So we'll see how that goes. Moving on from number three, jumping into my top two movies of the year so far. These two are pretty much solidified as the two front runners for the movies. All the other ones could kind of just be balanced out wherever. But starting with number two is going to be Fighting with My Family. It's a movie that came out earlier in the year in February. It's a beautiful story, greatly acted. The first movie I actually fell in love with this year, and I loved everything about it. Going for my number two, we're gonna be jumping into my number one movie of the year, and it's gonna be Booksmart. Booksmart is one of those movies that did not feel like a movie at all. It felt so real. You really felt like these characters had a life before and after the movie, and watching it, you feel like you're there and you actually know these people. And there's one particular scene towards the end of the movie, it's an argument between the two lead characters. It's probably the best scene I've seen on screen all year. I definitely recommend checking out this movie. It's a smaller movie. It was actually Olivia Wilde, an actress, her first, her debut directing movie, and she did a damn good job of it. That's gonna do it for my honorable mentions and 5 best movies of the year so far. Obviously, at the end of the year, I'm gonna put out my top 10 best and worst movies of the entire year. So look forward to that. Probably December, probably the end of December, start of January, January 1st maybe. But please let me know what you thought of my list of the best movies so far of 2019. And if you saw any of these movies, let me know what you thought about them in the comments below. Thank you all for watching. I'm going to start posting full reviews of movies finally, starting with Spider-Man Far From Home that I saw the midnight screening of Monday night. So look forward to that coming later today of the day you're watching this or the following day. I appreciate everyone who took the time to watch the video. Any feedback you have, constructive criticism, anything, it would be greatly appreciated if you leave those in the comments as well. So I'll see you all soon when we start getting some reviews out. Thanks for watching.